I am no soldier. I am no priest. I'm just a farmer.
Andrew Garfield's new historical drama opens with one line that immediately tells you why this story matters. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a priest. I'm just a farmer. A few moments later, that farmer is leading more than 10,000 people against the English crown. Focus Features has released the first trailer for the Uprising, and Paul Greengrass appears ready to turn the Peasants Revolt of 1381 into a tense, brutal political thriller. Garfield plays Wat Tyler, the real historical figure who became one of the central leaders of the rebellion against King Richard II. The trailer begins with him working the land, exhausted and anonymous, while the world around him demands more than ordinary people can possibly give. Heavy taxes, public cruelty, and constant humiliation have pushed entire communities to the edge. That is what makes the trailer effective. It does not begin with war. It begins with pressure. Wat says people are being forced to work beyond what their souls can carry, and that line becomes the emotional center of the footage. The king's men are not simply collecting money. They are reminding the poor that they have no power, no protection, and no right to resist. But history changes when enough people stop believing that. Garfield's transformation is the main reason I am interested in this movie. He is often associated with warmth, humor, and emotional openness, but here he looks furious, exhausted, and dangerous. This is not a charming rebel enjoying the fight. It is a man who would rather stay out of history, but can no longer survive by staying silent. Once Wat raises his voice, the scale expands quickly. Farmers, workers, and ordinary citizens begin gathering behind him. The movement grows into an army of at least 10,000 people, marching toward a confrontation that will become one of the most important uprisings in English history. And that scale is exactly where Paul Greengrass could make this story stand out. He has always been skilled at placing the audience inside chaos instead of observing it from a safe distance. In his best-known thrillers, his camera makes confusion feel immediate. If he brings that same energy here, The Uprising may feel less like a traditional costume drama and more like a live emergency. The production design also looks impressively grounded. The villages, clothing, and weapons feel used rather than displayed. Nothing appears clean or romanticized. The world looks wet, crowded, and physically exhausting, which makes the cruelty of the ruling class feel even more severe. What I hope the film avoids is turning the rebellion into a simple story of heroes and villains. Large movements are never that clean. Wat Tyler can inspire thousands of people, but he cannot control every person inside the uprising. Anger can become justice, but it can also become revenge. A strong historical thriller should allow that tension to remain uncomfortable. Garfield is especially good when belief becomes both a strength and a burden. Hacksaw Ridge, Silence, and even his version of Spider-Man all worked best when his characters were driven by conviction, guilt, or grief. Wat Tyler gives him another role built around a man who cannot separate what he believes from what he is willing to lose. There is already early awards talk around the performance, and that is understandable. Garfield has been nominated for an Academy Award twice, and this role gives him anger, physical intensity, and emotional weight. But the movie will matter more if it becomes something bigger than an Oscar showcase. The story already has modern relevance without forcing the comparison. A government demands more from people who have less. Officials become disconnected from the pain they create. Ordinary citizens realize the system only survives because they continue accepting it. Greengrass does not need to underline those ideas. The audience will recognize them. The trailer's strongest image is still the simplest: one exhausted farmer in a field, moments before history forces him to lead thousands. The Uprising opens in theaters on September 11th. I want to know what you think. Does Andrew Garfield look ready to deliver one of the strongest performances of his career? Or are you more interested in seeing Paul Greengrass turn a medieval rebellion into a modern historical thrill? Either way, this trailer makes one thing clear. Wat Tyler may begin the story as just a farmer, but he will not stay one for long.